So we're pressing down into the outer foot bones, lifting up through the inner legs. Going to hinge forwards and take the hands down. Then we're going to heel toe the feet in to come in and step or jump the feet back to the centre. Alright, so let's do that together. Spread your toes, press down into the outer edges of the feet, lift your chest. Any knee, hip or back problems, then you will step your feet apart. Take your feet wide, pressing into the outer foot bones. Just put your hands down. Now lift through the frontal thighs. Lift through your frontal hip bones. Weight down with your tailbone. Roll your shoulders back and down. If you need to put your hands onto a chair, that's fine. Foam pads, whatever you need to put your hands onto. So get that lift through the legs, hinge forwards, keeping your back flat, pressing down into the outer edge of the feet, take the hands to the floor. Now there should be no discomfort in your inner knees. If this part of your leg is uncomfortable, just here, okay, you can see where I'm pointing to, just here. If that's uncomfortable, then the first thing you need to do is activate your inner thighs more. So push your inner thighs to your outer thighs. If that does not help, then move your feet in, pivot them in slightly, which might mean that you have to take your hands up onto something. But it's better to do that and work without discomfort in that inner knee region than to tolerate it. Alright, so now we're going to all pivot the feet in and then coming up and bringing the feet together to stand in Tadasana. So just stand in your Tadasana, stretching down with the fingertips and breathe. I'm just going to show now, we're going to stretch the arms up into Uttanasana. So together we'll do that, roll the shoulders back and down, extend down into the fingertips, inhale, stretch the arms up, extend up with the fingertips, draw down with the shoulder blades, move back with the abdomen and release down. Okay, so I'm going to show what we're going to do in the next action. So Prasarita Padottanasana again, this time stretching up. And when we come down, we're going to see, can we hold on to the outer legs? So you pull on the outer legs to get this length and extension. Now it might be that you're holding on here at the tops of the shins. By all means, if you need to put your hands onto supports and not hold on to the outer legs, that's absolutely fine. But for those who are coming a little bit further into the action, you can hold here, and then when we come up, we stretch up like that, very strong, and then bring the feet together. So, Tadasana to start with, either repeating what we've just done, taking the legs wide, pressing down into the outer edges of the feet, lift through the frontal body. Now, bring your hands down, get this lift here through the front of the pelvis. Inhale, those who are working in this way, extend the arms up by your ears. If this is too strong for you, you put your frontal fingers onto your frontal pelvis and you come forwards and take your hands down onto the seat of the chair or onto bricks. So from here, stretch up. Get that length through the frontal body. Now your legs have really got to work. Press the inner thighs to the outer thighs. Take the hands down. Hold on to the outer legs. Press down into the outer legs. Keep the arms straight. Now push down into the outer edge of the feet. Use your hands to get more length through the frontal body. Draw the shoulder blades down towards your back waist and breathe. Now, for those who are working with the hands onto the seat of the chair or hands onto the floor, heel toe your feet in and come up. Those who are working in the stronger version, release the hands from the ankles, stretch the arms out in front. Now you've got to really use your legs to get yourself lifted. Okay, heel toe the feet in, step or jump the feet back into the centre. Strong action. Stretch down into the fingers, lift up with the chest and breathe. Now interlock your fingers again behind your back and stretch the palms down towards the floor. Lift your chest. Okay, we're going to come into a Bharadvajasana action here. So I'm just going to show. We have done this recently, so I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. You turn your legs and feet to the, turn your feet to the left and you turn your body to the right. So that means you need to be close to a wall on your right side. If you haven't got a wall, you can do this action. If you haven't got foam pads, you can sit on your washing up bowls, sit on a pile of blankets. All right. Legs in front, chest lifted, spine lifting, and swing your legs to your left. Have the thigh bones extending out forwards, anchor down with the left groin. Lift up with the crown of the head, turn to the right. So if you haven't got a wall to work to, you take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh, your right hand onto your supports behind you or onto a brick or similar behind you. Those working to the wall just gives you a little more traction to get this rotational action in the ribs, in the spine. Breathe. Okay, releasing and turning to the other side now. So you're going to swing your legs to the right and turn to the left. So your feet go like a cup and saucer. The arch, the front of the foot goes into the arch of the bottom foot. Inhale and lift. Either hand comes to the outer thigh and you turn, or you turn using the help of the wall. Get that length and extension through the spine as you rotate. Shoulder blades down and releasing. Well done. So we're going to come again into an Uttanasana action with the chair now. So we're going to use the chair for both Uttanasana, our forward bend, and for Adho, Mukha, Svanasana, dog head down. We're going to take the feet the width of the mat and lift here through the frontal pelvis. Now you're taking your hands down onto the seat of the chair because I want you to have a really sort of firm action on that chair seat so that when you lift your heels up, you can see, can you keep your buttocks lifted as you take your heels down? So it's almost as though you're not letting this area come down. You're just taking your heels down and making your legs longer. Oh, how we wish. Okay, so let's just give that a go. Take the feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. Have your arms straight and your elbows locked. I know many of you can get down lower than this, but this is not about coming into a forward bending action. You've got to really lift through the fronts of the legs and through the frontal pelvic bones. So the front of the pelvis has got to extend up. So I'll just show here. This area here has to really lift towards the abdomen. So lift back towards the abdomen, lift the navel towards the spine, and now come up onto your toes. Just look at your feet and make sure that the heels are not swinging in when you do this. Spread your toes. Those of you who worked with me, I think it was on Thursday, will have done quite a lot of this spreading toe action on Thursday. Make sure that the heels are lifting evenly. Keep that abdominal action. Now, as you take the heels down, it's almost as though the buttocks are not going to lose the height that they've got. So imagine the back of the buttock region, the back of the pelvis, is touching a foam pad, and you're trying to keep that height
as you take your heels down. So this encourages both the length in the hamstrings but also the breadth in the back of the legs. So as we come down, we're lifting up. Okay, and releasing. Coming into Adho, Mukha, Svanasana now. Hands onto the seat of the chair, walking back, make sure that the chair is firmly against the wall, and then extending back. So again, we're going to lift up and see if we can maintain the height as we take the heels down. So hands to the front of the chair, walk your feet back. So it might be that you need to take your mat slightly away from the wall. If you're quite tall and your mat is not very long, then this won't be long enough for you, and you need to at least have the balls of the feet onto the mat, otherwise you'll slip. Okay, so move your navel towards your spine, lift your frontal pelvic bones up, and now lift your heels. Lift your heels as much as you can beyond the balls of the feet. Look at your feet, make sure that the heels are equal, that you're not letting one swing in or both swing in. Now with that action, lift your kneecaps into your thighs, use your thigh muscles to lift those kneecaps up. So draw the tops of the kneecaps into the thigh muscles. Now with those lifts that you've got there, don't lose the lift as you start to extend the soles of your feet. So we're lengthening the soles of the feet, but keeping the sitting bones lifted. So don't lose the height of the pose as you extend back in the soles of the feet. Keep the height, keep the height, keep the height. And breathe. Look at your legs. If there's any unevenness, see if you can correct it. And now coming up by walking forwards towards your hands. Well done. The people who are doing Siddhasana in their sequence, this is where you would put your Siddhasana, so you can get your equipment ready for that and switch the video off for the moment. If you don't normally do Siddhasana head balance, then you won't be doing it today. You can carry on with the sequence as we go. So either you will be coming back, Siddhasana. I'm just going to show you. I'm using 4 foam pads here. You can use a bolster, you can use folded blankets, you can use pillows, folded towels. You need a little bit of height behind you. So although I'm using 4 foam pads, you could just use a couple of folded blankets to get a little bit of height underneath the sitting bones. So I'm just going to show how we're going to work with this. You can see I've put a blanket there because that will provide a little bit of softness for the feet. So I'll just go through the pose folded in, we let that leg out, we fold it in, and the knees, they will not come to the floor for everybody. And it might be that your feet are out here. Now, you can sit on your chair, and if you've got a lot of stiffness in your hips, this is really quite a good way to work because it gets you the same action. It might be that you want to take your feet up a little bit, maybe onto some cushions or something, because that is also quite nice to work with, so that you can get a feeling of what the action of the pose is like, even if at this moment in time it's not quite there for you. So I will just go into what we will do after we've got the feet in. So if you're working on the chair,
Or if you're working just with your feet forwards, then really, you stay with your feet in this action. You don't try and do the next action. The next action is posting the toes away. So when I teach this in class, quite often people will have the foot like that, and it will be kind of, you can still see all your toes coming out. But as long as there's no problems, then the foot goes right away in that way. Now, this can be quite uncomfortable on your calf, particularly if your calf muscles are a little bit tight. So it might be that doing that is just not accessible at this stage. First of all, we're going to lift up. If you're working on the chair, you hold onto the back of the chair or onto the back of the seat of the chair to get this lift, because this is the important action. Then you take the palms here and lift up and let the eyes close. Alright, so let's do that together. From Tadasana, let your right leg drop out to the side. Turn this calf flesh. You may remember this from last week, this pliability that we're trying to get in the calves. So turn, not just the calves, all the muscles. We're trying to get this kind of softness and pliability. Heel in line with the central seam of the trousers, and then the other heel in line with that heel. So from here, roll the shoulders back and down, lift up. Now, if you're working with posting the toes away, be careful, don't kind of pull your knees around or your ankles. You have to cup this outer ankle with your left hand, and then you bring that foot up and you see, maybe you can just get the toes like that. That's fine, that's a stage, but it might be that you're able to move those toes right into the back of the calf there and beyond. From there, bring your hands to the front. So it might be that you need to get this lift and extension first, and then place your hands, allow the eyes to close, broad across the collarbones, quiet in the head. Alright, releasing the hands, and when you take your foot out, hold underneath that ankle. Don't just pull it out. Don't be rough with your body. Releasing. If you're working at the chair, changing legs. So stretching the legs out, bringing your left leg in. Again, getting that rotational action. It helps with the rotation of the hip. If you can get the shin and the calf turned outwards, it helps to get the external rotation in the hip. So being on a little bit of a height is very helpful. Alright, turn the calf flesh, roll the shoulders back and down. Now if you're coming into the next action, and if it's too much for you at this stage, you just keep here. Don't try and push the body to where it's not ready to go yet. And if you're able to move those toes right through, and move them through. I'm a little bit stiffer this side, a little more challenging for me. Okay, and lift up, roll the shoulders back and down, get that turning and rotation in the top of the hip. Lift your chest, roll the shoulders back and down. Put your hands behind you to start with. Lift up, if you're working on the chair, hands onto the seat of the chair. And then, if you're working on the floor, palms of the hands open, lift your chest, let the eyes close. Breathe, fine inhalation, fine exhalation. And now, releasing the hands and gently unraveling the legs. Hold underneath that outer ankle to draw it out, take it down, and then stretch the legs out in front of you. sit in Tadasana, staff pose.